End at 10:30. Well, that was fun.
Good morning, all, and thank you so much for joining me today. I am so thrilled and excited today that I have a very special guest. I always have been walking around most of my life being a very positive person because I actually made a conscious decision many years ago that I felt better being happy than to be walking around with that negative Nancy attitude. And yet, though, I came across this woman, and she was even more positive than I could possibly even be. So I just totally loved it. And I had to keep banging down their doors and just saying, yeah, I need to talk to you, lady. I need you to be out there because you are exactly who I want. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I want to introduce to you Meaghan B. Murphy. She is quite the woman. She is the editor-in-chief of Women's Day magazine. She is a podcaster, an influencer, a lifestyle expert, and a certified trainer. Not to even be that, also being a wife and a mother of 3 darling children and a little fur baby on top of it all. And now, to top it all off, she is the author of a new book called Your Fully Charged Life, which I did go around and buy because anything that shows positivity and creates that is what is all I'm all about. So it's a radical and simple approach to having endless energy and fill your day with, I love it. Meaghan, welcome, and thank you so much for coming and joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Glenda. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. So, part of what I do, I'm a life coach, and what I do is help, especially I'm out there now. My mission is to help women, especially who are struggling through their lives, because I've gone through so many struggles on my own, and I've done it by myself. And I just have this belief that nobody should have to go through alone what I had to go through my journey. But when I started learning about you, and I heard you on Clubhouse, and you started talking, and it was like my ears stood up and thinking, wow, this is a woman I need to speak with, because you went not from a happy person. You didn't grow up that way. Like I heard you say, you called yourself grumpy. So that was wow. So tell us about your background and how you went from such a grumpy person to such a huge happy person.
Yeah, so my nickname was Grumpy as a child. I had a Grumpy the Dwarf necklace that I wore very proudly that my parents had they gifted me to be like, okay, this is you're grumpy. And I wore it like, yes, I am. I was a kid with like big swirling emotions. I'm an empath. I feel things big and hard. And as a kid, I didn't really know what to do with that. And so I developed an eating disorder, and I can look back now and say I developed anorexia really as a way to quiet all of these big feelings, these big negative feelings. And whether it was anger or fear or whatever those feelings were, I developed an eating disorder to really quiet that. And I had some tumultuous teen years. I was battling this eating disorder. My friend and I were both battling this eating disorder simultaneously. I landed in the hospital, and she was en route to the hospital to join me in the program, and she jumped out of the car and tragically died. So as a 16-year-old child, I'm battling an eating disorder. I'm now dealing with the first loss of my life, and it's my best friend, and I feel guilty. It was awful. It was some really, really hard years, kind of coupled with the fact that I still had this overwhelming negativity bias. I was a real pessimist. I had these big emotions that I didn't know what to do with. And through outpatient and inpatient treatment and therapy, I started to get better and inch my way out. And I wrote a very powerful essay about that experience because writing has always been very cathartic and therapeutic for me. And that essay wound up landing me a college scholarship and springboarded my magazine career. And so that magazine career then led me to Cosmopolitan Magazine, where ultimately I wrote a story called The 7 Secrets of Happiness. And that story was a real game changer for me because in doing the research for that story and looking into the field of positive psychology and neuroscience, I got this glimpse of how other people live. Because for me, don't worry, be happy was like this BS bumper sticker platitude that just felt like crap. It felt unattainable, unachievable, like just BS.
Yeah.
But after looking at the work of Martin Seligman and what actually made people thrive and flourish and happy, and realizing there was actually a science to this, and it wasn't this like woo-woo elusive BS thing, I was like, I could take action steps to live differently, to prioritize positivity and perhaps flourish. And so I started to change the way I did things, change the way I see things. And it was a journey, like it was a very transformative journey that lasted many, many years of just trying the tricks, trying the strategies, using myself as a guinea pig, and having the luxury of being a service journalist at Cosmo and then Self Magazine, where I could delve into the latest research, interview the greatest PhDs, look at the science, and then apply it to myself and apply it for my readers. At Self Magazine, I was there for 9 years. I was the deputy editor and the fitness director, and I ran a program called the Self Challenge, which helped people live their best lives. And in that process, I was learning how to live my best life. And so ultimately, when I wound up at Good Housekeeping, and was then faced with some more hard times because my father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and was gone in 5 months, it became very clear to me that those strategies and those tricks and those tips that I had been road testing for all of these years actually worked. And they had empowered me to do hard things with grit and grace and to get through hard times more easily. And so I knew that I wanted to leave this legacy of positivity in book form because I had really kind of discovered some of the science behind why I was doing hard things more easily. And I wanted to share that. I'm a service journalist at my core, so I had to share.
Yeah, no, I so get it. Like, as I said, I made that conscious decision also to change my attitude. I had a very negative mother. She had her own negativities for her own reasons. And, as I grew up, I understood more. But my father was a happy, jolly person. And I knew as a child, and I don't know why, it was just some type of an old soul, that happy, jolly man that he was, that felt so good. And that negativity I saw as the more negative she became, the more she attracted. So do you believe in the law of attraction, that we attract really what we feel?
Well, I truly believe negativity loves company. Misery loves company. Negativity loves company. And so you do need to surround yourself with people who feel like sunshine. Like, that's a cliche, but energy is contagious. Yeah. And good energy is contagious and bad energy is contagious. And so I work really hard to do energy audits and to get rid of the toxic people in my life, the energy vampires, if you will, and to really try as hard as I can to surround myself with people who make me feel better for having spent time with them. And in your fully charged life, I give you a test, to kind of understand, is this a toxic friendship? Do I look forward to being with this person? How do I feel about myself when I'm with that person? How do I feel after I'm with this person? And if the answer isn't like great, even better, that's a toxic friendship. And we don't need those toxic relationships in our life. And okay, if it's your sister-in-law or your mother, like your mother-in-law or something, and you're related to them and you can't completely erase them, well, then how do you create a positivity force field so that you don't get dragged down with that? Because
can you give us a tip for that? Like, especially when it's in your life and you have to be there.
I think so a lot of it is really understanding that it's not about you, it's about them. And understanding the only thing you can absolutely control is your reaction to what's coming your way. You are not going to change them. You're not, like, You're not going to change what they say. You're not going to change what they do. You really can't impact them at all. The only thing you can do is control your reaction. And I find that very empowering. Allowing yourself to be unflappable in the face of an a-hole. Allowing yourself to continue smiling in the face of an a-hole. And watching that soften the corners of their negativity, because it gets exhausting on their part too, to be like, okay, yeah, she's still smiling. Why is she still smiling? I was just rude. I was just a piece of crap. Like, like how do you so someone's, we get a question.
Yeah, someone has this.
That's so fun. How do you just walk away? Well, if it's a family member, you can't just walk away, right? But you also can create this positivity force field where you don't get sucked into their negativity, because that's the harder thing. Like someone says something off the wall to you and you want to snap back and you want to, you just have to pause and check yourself before you wreck yourself and understand, okay, that's on them. It's not on you. And all you can do is control yourself in that motion. He's saying, is it worth to try and fix it? It depends. I mean, some things can't be fixed, right?
I always believed in how I learned to cope and deal with them in my own family was going back and seeing where my mother had come from. So more I understood where she came from and why she was the way she was, put me more at peace, that I didn't feel that it was me and that I could walk away and not allowing to absorb that negativity into myself.
That exactly. Like, and then coming at it from a place of compassion. This person is hurting.
Right.
This person is struggling. That's why they're trying to put it on me. It has nothing to do with me. They're angry, they're hurt, they're damaged. I didn't do that.
And that's okay.
Exactly, because you can't fix them.
Right.
Most people, like, they might not want fixing, they might not be ready for fixing. And that's a waste of your energy. Like, I think in some instances, really all you can do is protect your own energy, and kind of, be this force field of positivity in a way that's healthy for you.
So, okay, we all have hard days, no matter how positive you are. I'm a realist, right? So even though I'm positive, I'm strong, and I look at my glass, never mind half full, but it's full. I don't want to live my life any other way, and I'm grateful every day for it. But life still happens to us. So how do we shift ourselves when we get hit by, like, a death in our family that brings us down? And I lived, I had the same thing. My dad passed away. He was very young. He was my dad. I was daddy's girl.
Same.
And when I lost him, my life fell apart. And it took me a while to get through that death. And it was actually my son as a little boy. Every time I would talk about my dad, tears would come rolling down my face. And he said to me one day, he was 5 years old, and he looked at me and he says, "Mommy, why don't you do what I do? I just pretend that," we called him Zadie, "I just pretend Zadie was always around and I can talk to you." And it was like out of the mouths of babes. So, but how do we shift ourselves when we have those days and life does suck? Because we got to accept it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and I think that's when you get into that. I hate staring at myself because I'm like, I didn't really comb my hair, put on makeup.
It's all good.
I think the key is having this toolkit, and that's what Your Fully Charged Life is. So this book is not a happiness handbook. It's not a guide. It's a toolkit. And on my crappiest days, I need more tools, and I know what those tools are. And that's what I'm trying to empower you to do. I wake up and I have some days are awful. And so then I understand that there are things I can do to create positive momentum and to inch forward and to get unstuck. I think it's really important, though, to own what sucks and to absolutely acknowledge what hurts and to acknowledge what's bad and to sit with it and to appreciate the pain and to understand, like, yeah, that was awful. That shouldn't have happened. That sucks that happened.
Right.
Okay, but I can't undo it, right? They're not going to undie. I'm not going to unget COVID, right? Like, that happened, right? The tree's not going to unfall on my house. But what can I do to now own it and take a positive action step forward? And so that's what I do on a daily basis. And it's small stuff. Sometimes it's like, okay, I am in a really bad place. I'm going to take a positive action step first thing in the morning. I'm going to make my damn bed. I wrote 2 pages about making your bed in the book. Yeah. It makes people 82% more productive by that small sense of accomplishment first thing in that morning. That positive action step first thing in the morning can lead to the next positive action step and the next positive action step, and set you up for success and happiness. And then I'm going to take a shower and I'm going to dress up to feel up. I call it dopamine dressing. Dress the way you want to feel. If you were down in the dumps and you were wearing sweats and you've got stains on a white undershirt and you haven't combed, like that happened to me in the beginning of the pandemic. I was changing from dirty pajamas to clean pajamas and never not doing my hair or anything. The day I was like, enough of this. I'm going to wear pants that button. I'm going to take a shower and I'm going to beach wave my hair. And I'm going to understand that impacts my mood. It's called embodied cognition, enclosed cognition. How you dress, how you carry yourself, how you stand, all of these things impact your mood.
Exactly. You feel it, you see it. At the beginning of COVID, I still put myself together. I got dressed and was saying, why are you wearing makeup? It's COVID. And why? And it's because it makes me feel good.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's understanding what are those things that work for you. Because some people could roll their eyes and be like, you know what, I want to wear sweats. I don't care. Elastic waistbands for life. Great. And if that's what works for you, fine. Put some other tools in your toolkit, though. What else is going to work for you? I know that fresh flowers in my house are mood magic. There's great Harvard research behind them. They ease anxiety. They cut tension. During the pandemic, I would get scissors and I would go to the park and I would cut daffodils and I didn't care. Park ranger, come get me. I would cut daffodils and put them on my kitchen table, and that brought me joy. And the Harvard researchers were right. It did, reduce anxiety and reduce my stress. So David's saying dress for success. I also say, I love that. I also say dress for the life you want, maybe not the life you have. So are you going to a party? Are you going to a funeral? How are you showing up? Because dress up to feel up. Dress for the life you want. And I'm dressing for the party.
Yeah, actually, when you show up, you need to show up. I believe that when you walk into the room, you want people to look at you. You need to make a stand. You want to come out there no matter what and go, boom, I've arrived.
And that looks different for everybody too, because I have a lot of introverts who are fans of the book who are never going to wear these emoji-esque patterns and lightning bolts and all the madness that I'm all about. And the interesting thing about the research is that power dressing looks different for everybody. Making a statement, standing out in a crowd looks different for everybody. The key is the meaning you assign to the wardrobe, the meaning you assign to the piece of clothing. So
you feel with it.
Exactly. How do you feel? You could feel amazing and sleek head to toe, all black, and that's your power outfit. And research says that will work. For me, it's going to probably be orange with lightning bolts and loud and all that, because that's what works for me. But it's very individual. There's no such thing as a power outfit. No. It's absolutely individual. So how does something make you feel? Just tuning in to how you feel when you have a bright colored shirt on or a really big earring or great shoes, just noticing how those things make you feel and then deciding for yourself what that power outfit is for you.
So what you're really saying is, if I'm not mistaken, it's learning to become more aware. So how do we become more aware of our feelings, of what happens in our bodies and all of this? Because to me, that's a big key.
I think a lot of it has to do with pausing and taking that breath to be more mindful. And I think a lot of times we're just on autopilot. So how do you take yourself off autopilot? I often find it's doing things differently to see things differently. So for me, the way I often take myself off of autopilot is something very simple, like I'm going to park in a different spot at the grocery store, or I'm going to walk a new way to the ATM machine, because when I change the way I do things, I change the way I see things. And that can just be the wake-up call you need versus being on autopilot and just going through the motions. We need to stop and see so that we can feel and recognize.
So I'm a big advocate of meditation. What do you feel about meditation?
I think it's really powerful. I think all the research supports that. It is something that hasn't really worked very well for me. I love Dan Harris. I love his book, 10% Happier. I had him on my podcast. I think he's really wonderful. Meditation has been hard for me. I'm mindful and I practice mindfulness, but I can't actively meditate. And I'll find that some things that are, I will organize a junk drawer, and that just is like a mindfulness practice for me that feels meditative. And sometimes it's for me, it's on a run, a quiet run without music, and that's my moving meditation. I also live in a house with 3 kids and a dog, and I don't have quiet space that I can really actively carve out for myself. So perhaps someday when everyone's in college,
it will happen.
That will happen for me, but like there's no quiet space. It's just that just doesn't exist in my world right now. So I find mindfulness in different ways. But I really believe that having a meditation practice is the research is unequivocal. It's wonderful. It's not something that I've been able to work into my reality.
But I still believe I'm a morning walker, and my part of my meditation some days is just walking.
Yeah.
Nothing in the ears, listening to the birds,
being outdoors. Yes.
Just being. Mm-hmm. So I want to be mindful of your time, and I so appreciate this. But what I want from you is, can you give our audience something from your toolbox that will help them to maybe shift them in a positive attitude, mind shift, something like that?
Sure. I mean, there's endless strategies in the book, and I'm very proud of that. I'm proud that I got it finished in April at the height of COVID, while homeschooling 3 kids and all the things. I think that now that it's been out since February, some of the strategies that have been really helpful to people that I love to hear is something I talk about, of just simply changing your have-tos to get-tos, thinking about all the things you get to do versus all the things you have to do. I mean, simply reframing a workout from like, oh, I have to work out, to I get to work out. Like, how does that change the way you approach something, right? Yeah. I'm pretty pumped that I get to work out because, you know what, I had COVID and it stunk, and I was like, down for the count for like a solid 2 weeks. Yeah. Wow. Now I get to work out again, right? I get to do that. And if you really think about it, there are so few things in life that you actually have to do, right? You're creating your own life. You're creating your own reality. All of these things are things you get to do. Even going to work, like you get to go to work. You get to have this job right now. You get to collect this paycheck, and people will laugh and be like, oh yeah, and I get to pick up dog poop. You do, because you get to have a dog, right? You get to have a dog. How great is that? So that's an example of some of the cognitive reappraisal and the mind shift tricks that I use in the book. And that's also a sneaky way of practicing gratitude, right? I'm going to tell you that it's hard. Keeping a gratitude diary is magic and it's wonderful. It's too homeworky for me. I can never keep it up. So I trick myself into practicing gratitude by changing my have-tos to get-tos, by asking myself and my family, what made you say yay today? Yeah. Like those are some of the ways we practice gratitude, because it's a little bit of a fun-filtered approach. And I think that's what I'm grateful that I'm able to do in the book, is to fun filter a lot of that advice.
Perfect. Well, Meaghan, I want to tell you, it's been an absolute delight. I am so honored that you were able to make time for me and share your words of wisdom. It's just beautiful. So those of you who have not heard of this book, I solely recommend that you get it. She is awesome. And I'm a positive person, and I got stuff out of this book. So if it's happening to me, then it really happen to you. I know there's a lot of people right now that are struggling, and we don't need to be struggling so much through our lives, because if we make little tweaks in our lives, it's amazing how our life will totally change.
Absolutely.
So, go onto Amazon, Your Fully Charged Life, by Meaghan B. Murphy is really worth the read. And you don't need to read it cover to cover. You can pick it up, read it, take a little bit out of it, and then put it down, put it to use, put it to practice, and then pick it up again and do another thing. It's just there so you can get some tools to make your life more empowered. And thank you so very much again, Meaghan. It was an absolute honor for me to have you here.
Yay.
And I look forward to, yay!
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. Be
Bye.
well. Bye-bye for now. Thank you also very much for coming on and listening to this. What an absolute pleasure it was to have Meaghan. She is a real powerhouse of a woman. She's made it through other things. My whole thing in my life is that how I can empower you to move one step forward, to doing one thing to change your life. And to say to you, you know, life isn't being about having to do things by yourself. Reach out, touch somebody, and ask for some little bit of help. My name is Glenda Kroll. I'm here to help you. Comment below. Tell me what you got out of this interview, and let me know what type of a yay you can add to your life. I look forward to speaking to you all soon, and be well. And remember to make this a positive day for you. Take care and have an awesome weekend. Bye for now.